All right, let's see. What do we do next now? Object? Okay, we'll do the object video. Beardy Man is a really talented, I guess he's like a live streamer. He's a really good performer. Maybe that's the best way to put it. He can like beatbox. He has this like insane setup where he's just playing a bunch of shit at once. Okay, so he's doing that with his voice there. That's pretty insane.
So the big buzz at the moment in controller land is MPE. MPE allows you to have expression in every fingertip. Products from Roly or the Osmos or Ableton's new Push 3 allow you to
I want that Roly, or it's not Roly, Osmo.
To express in ways that electronic musicians have never been
Get out of here, B.
able to before. But MPE cannot hold a candle to a real acoustic instrument. Where on the string are you going to play? How much pressure are you going to put on? How fast are you moving the bow? What are you doing with your fingers on the
That's true. I mean, it's closer in the direction of that, but yeah, it's not going to be the exact same.
neck? How fast are you moving them? Where exactly are they placed? All of these things interconnect in ways that just cannot be represented in MPE alone. Enter Reason's new device, Object. Object is a carpless
Oh man, this makes me want to use Reason again. I started out using Reason.
strong style resonation matrix that you can excite with any sound. Flip the rack and you can pipe in any external audio you want to excite Object's resonators. There's no way for me to explain how cool this is. You have to hear it. Let's get into it.
So, what you're looking at here is the Beardy Tron. It's just a giant Ableton Live rig, and hosted within it we find Reason Rack plugin, which is very performant now that it's M1 native. You've got all of Reason to play with, and it is staying in my rig because Object, which is within Reason Rack plugin, is amazing. So the stuff I'm going to be doing is not complex. It's just... I've just made a simple patch that can kind of express a little bit and change some of these parameters.
Man, this is perfect for someone like him that does a lot of like beatboxing. Reason's definitely, yeah, it can be an eyesore. I mean, he's only using the Reason Rack plugin here, so, you know, maybe that helps a bit. Actually, that might make it worse because it's Reason inside of Ableton then. The crazy thing about this is it doesn't even look like he's doing anything anymore. You have to know how this works in order to like know like, oh, he's like making sound with his mouth, and then this plugin, or I guess this plugin with a device in it is turning it into a sound. This is so badass, dude. I used to use Reason way back in the day when Live was pretty much only a sequencer. Yeah, basically the reason I expanded out from using Reason and included Ableton Live also was because I wanted to use VST plugins and it couldn't use VST plugins a long time ago. Wait, he's doing two things at once, dude. I didn't see the piano there. This is fucking epic.
You can't really do that any other way.
That was fucking sick. And he probably operates 7 iPad Pros. He does actually. He has like the most insane setup. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, he has the most insane setup, dude. This is like, this is probably like more crazier now. Like this is just like, this is a while ago. This is 3 years ago. Oh, you can't see it. Wait, hold up. Yeah, this is like 3 years ago. I'll just move it over so you can see. So yeah, he's got a lot going on in his setup, but it's pretty epic what he can do live.
That's mad. You know, there's so many different instruments that it sounds like. Another thing you can do with this is you can kind of detune the dispersion algorithm here. So you can turn something from being a string into a giant, like, inharmonious metal plate. That's nuts.
DJ Khaled guitar type beat. Type in Beardy Tron. His video with Tom Scott is pretty good. Great, let's watch that after. Trippy, bro. Get a close up.
Get a close up, get a close up.
I don't know any other synth that can do that.
Oh my god. Dude, imagine like taking like LSD or mushrooms and then watching this.
That sounds a bit like a brass instrument, and it's got these mad
Gonna get schizophrenia from this.
characteristics that would be difficult to do any other way. When I put it on a bus after a loop, the stuff that you put in the loop can then be made into an object instead of just a repeating pattern.
Like, this is like the kind of thing that's gonna make it really hard to tell what's happening anymore.
I must emphasize that was all my voice. So, like, technically,
The drum loop too?
with objects, you can put anything in, and because it's just exciting an algorithm which on its own does nothing, that technically is still your voice. So from my perspective as a beatboxer who can say, this is all my voice, this is all my voice. Anyway,
Getting a little confused here.
so that's why Object is amazing. That's why it enables me to
It makes me sad knowing I'll never be this talented or cool. I know, me too, man.
things I could never do before. And Reason is staying in the Beardy Tron for the foreseeable future. Object is amazing.
sick.
Nothing else can do what it does. See you soon. Bye.
Fuck, that was really cool, man. Ugh, that makes me want, I need that Reason rack. Is it, hold on, they're not subscription only, right? Reason, Object. You have to buy this separately from the new version of Reason, right? Hold on, let's look at this. Let's do some research. We gotta make sure we do our research. Does it only run in Reason? The website says it's a VST. I think it's a VST through the Reason rack. I might be wrong though. It's a VST? No, it's the Reason rack though. I think the Reason rack is a VST and then you're running it through the Reason rack. So I think that's what they mean by it's a VST. Because I think if you just buy, see, yeah, it requires Reason 10 or later. You can't just buy just this thing. You can't just buy just Object. Yeah, no, this thing is pretty sick. I talked about it before on WNN. Pretty short page here. But let's look at it.
New in the Reason Rack, Object Modeling Synthesizer, a brand new physical modeling instrument from Reason Studios. This is physical modeling synthesis finally done right, packed into a form factor that seems all too obvious once you experience it, a classic Reason-style synth. 3 separate resonating bodies that you can design yourself, choosing the specific overtones and resonating frequencies, the way they interact with each other, and the way they respond to your playing. Sound design.
So, I mean, from what I understand here, it creates resonating frequencies. It's pretty hard to understand exactly what this thing does.
Select one of Object's preset material templates to get a head start designing their own acoustic instruments.
An NXT sampler was a shit in Reason back in the day. It was one of the best ways to chop samples. Not so much anymore. Yeah, it's one reason I didn't like continuing to use Reason. Oh god, this is getting so like conceptual. The way I have to say Reason. But yeah, like some of the devices in Reason are so old. Like in NXT and NN19, like they're like so archaic, man. And just like the idea of like having to plug things in, it was cool to me at first when I started using Reason, but the more I use it, the more I was like, oh, this sucks for workflow. Like I'm having to plug this in, I'm having to unplug this here, flip it around the rack and stuff like that.
Physically modeled real-world acoustic sounds are the combination of Object's resonators along with its exciter section, where you control how the instrument gets played. One setting might mimic hard plastic mallets.
This is probably the coolest thing Reason's done in a long time.
Turn up the frequency of the exciter, and that mallet sounds more dense. Or soften the exciter's hardness.
It models the resonant frequencies of real-world things like metal string or metal plate. Yeah, that sounds correct. This guy is so expressive, he must have MPE.
For a felt-wrapped sound. But Object isn't only about plucks, mallets, or bells. The exciter noise section is the gateway to expressive, evolving pads and textures that might shimmer like a synth while resonating with those intangible, real-world acoustic properties. Use the external inputs on the back of Object, and we can skip plucking or bowing our instrument and get our instruments sounding instead from external sources, so that mouth percussion becomes harmonic textures. Or even play drums off your microphone.
This is like made for Beardy Man, though. This is like, it's almost like they were like, we need to design something for Beardy Man to use.
And it's the way that it all comes together that makes Object so powerful. Experimenting with the exciter section, crafting the right blend of resonators and whether they act independently or feed into one another, dialing in the behavior of those resonating frequencies, and if you're advanced, programming the mod matrix to make playing Object do unthinkable things. And the result of that means that Object doesn't just sound like this. It sounds like this, too.
Is that the exact same project file? No.
It sounds like this, too.
That'd be crazy if they took the exact same project file and just flipped it.
And this. Or this. Or this. Use the random
How much is Object if you have Reason already? I believe it's $100.
randomizer to customize existing patches. At 100%, this conga randomizes into other things entirely.
Yeah, I like that they have a randomized function on it. That's pretty sick. I feel like randomized needs to become more common.
If you like it, hit OK to keep it, or cancel to get back to the congas. But where the randomizer really shows Object's strength over sample libraries that are always based on a fixed original
My god, 51 gigs?
recording is when we set the randomization to a more subtle setting. Now we can choose which congas we want in our song. This one.
Undo
this
button. Yeah, but is there an undo button? We've added an undo button.
So if you want unthinkable control over acoustic sounds, if you want synth sounds with a touch of the
Oh man, this is cool. I mean, I wish someone would make a VST that does this. I mean, maybe there is one out there. Does anyone know? I don't think so. Otherwise, people wouldn't be ranting about Objects specifically.
organic. If you want
I mean, there was that
invent
one thing I talked about a while back that was like something that someone designed in like a competition.
entirely new and unheard instruments. Really, if you want to synthesize reality, all you
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I kind of want it, but at the same time, like, I feel like Beardy Man just makes it seem really cool. It's like probably really useful for him, but I don't know if it's gonna be that useful for us. How can I explain how the Beardy Tron works in less than 5 minutes? Let's see. I doubt if it's just changing the instrument with these tracks. Seems like a lot of work to make the sounds click. Yeah, a physical modeling synth, but I guess what makes it different is like you can route the audio in real time, right? I think that's what makes it different. I don't know. I didn't do my research.
People sometimes ask me how I do things like this.
No, seriously, how do you do things like that?
There's no short explanation. It's a crazy system. It's really, really vast and complicated. Sometimes even I forget how it works. Over on my Patreon, I do tutorial content. You can come and learn exactly how I do this stuff. I'll see you there. Drifter 303 asks, can you give me a short explanation of how all the iPads work and what they do? No, there's no short explanation of what the iPads do. There's no way to do that. But I'm gonna try. Time starts now. Okay, 5 minutes to explain. This is the Beardy Tron. It's 5 iPads
Almost like we got to play this in 0.5 speed, man. Jesus Christ. 0.75.
that control Ableton. The one on the top left controls the drum channels and the synthesizer.
It sounds crazy. So many buttons. Yeah, I know. I have a mental breakdown just looking at this.
That samples my voice. The one on the bottom left controls melodic stuff that I've put in also with my voice. The middle one at the top controls input effects. So anything I want to do to my voice is controlled from there. The one below it is a kind of new 5th experimental iPad. Not even going to go into that. The one on the top right is for controlling everything else, the macro stuff. So
This is fucking insane. How do you even decide to develop this?
into it. This is the top left iPad. As you can see, there are 1
What
looper,
the
2
fuck,
looper,
dude?
3 loopers, and then a bunch of other buttons.
What the fuck?
The looper here
That would be funny if that was the entire video. Here's how you do it. You can find out on my Patreon.
is for kick drums and other such things. Maybe I'll put whole drum loops in there. This one is for snares. I'll put whole snarey kind of stuff in there. There's no bass on that one. This has even less bass. That's for hi-hats. These little knobs here control the effects.
He has so many different options for each little part of what he's doing. It makes sense if you're gonna like compose on this.
And the kick drum has its own effect.
Because he basically composes live. Like he like freestyles live.
The snare has its own effects. The hi-hat has its own effects. These are effects which get applied to the whole drum bus. This controls the synthesizer that I mentioned. There's probably no further time to go into any more detail on that. Moving on. This is
Oh, he's using a Mac. It could be an M16.
iPad number 2. iPad number 2 is using something called Touch OSC rather than Lima, which the other one was. There's more information on this on my Patreon if you want to. Tangent alert, keep going. These buttons here are the preset selectors. They are little 8-way selectors that I made. They are selecting the presets. They change the states of all these other buttons. All these other buttons control manipulator, tornado, Ableton built-in stuff. This red line here represents a demarcation between this stuff that does work and this stuff which I am building and in the process of instantiating. Must move on, got to complete this. 3 minutes 10, we're doing okay. This is iPad 3, this is the bass looper, and here are the effects for the bass looper. This is the melody looper.
It's just so overwhelming. Like it's hard to even figure out how you could like use this information for yourself. The only thing you know is like, wow, get a lot of iPads and split it all up, put a lot of effects. I don't even know. I feel like I still don't have enough information.
The effects for the melody looper. Here is the pad
What mic is he using? Is that only for patrons?
looper.
That looks familiar. I don't know what mic that is. So I think it's also the way he has the mic, the chain he has on the mic, because like I don't think the mic sounds like that out of the box.
It's the pads looper.
Does anybody use a Chaos Later anymore? No idea. Haven't heard anyone mention that in a long time.
One is a bit different to the others. The bass looper has the option to have A, B, C, and D mutually exclusive loops. All of that's
Glad he makes bangers. Imagine using all this just to make shitty music. True.
handled in Ableton. This is the effect.
I feel like this is the idea that like a lot of people have when they get into modular stuff. Like they're like, oh, I want to do something super complex. But I feel like he actually went a route where instead of like just getting something complex, he got something complex that actually has a lot of use to him, you know? Not that modular doesn't have a lot of use, but everything in here has a specific use, you know?
For the whole of the melodic bus. This is a chopper to chop the sound. These are
Like it's not complex just so you can do whatever you want. This is complex so he can do whatever he literally wants.
effects which
He didn't add anything in here unless he uses it, it seems like.
are tied to Tornado, which is a plugin which controls all of the effects within my rig pretty much. That's probably too much detail. Tangent alert, moving on. This is the last iPads. We've got 2 minutes 24. Do you know what? I'm doing all right, actually. I'm only halfway through. This is the last iPad.
Okay, dead stop. I understand that. He has a build button. You just press that and it starts a build.
Essentially in the chain, or the iPads don't process any audio. All they do is control Ableton. But what this one does, the reason why I think of it as being last in the chain is because it controls stuff that is last in the chain in terms of audio. This is a bunch of knobs that control another instance of Tornado, which is on the master bus. So everything goes through these.
Tornado.
This is other master stuff. It's
What is that? Is that a VST? Guys, enhance. What is that?
the send, delay, send. That's all the feedback, high pass, echo time for that. This is another delay. These are these really cool buttons that do loads of stuff. And if you look at my Ableton rig, you can see down the right-hand side
Oh my
of this
god, dude. Yeah, this guy definitely did not update to 11.3.2.
what they control. These are presets,
What the f, dude?
and they control masses of automation.
Oh my god, dude. Dude. Tornado is like infiltrator? Okay, I need that shit then. Oh, let me just open that up for later. Tornado. Okay. Yep, getting that later on. I think I've heard of that one before.
So that if I want to do like a sick drum and bass drop, then I can, but just by pressing one button. But they don't actually trigger any sounds. All it's doing is triggering automations in every one of those channels I've just mentioned. So if I want to do a sick drop, so long as there is sound that's appropriate for each channel in there, it will probably make the correct sounding thing. What else do I have?
It's pretty crazy. I need to see how that works exactly.
There is this one, which is my brand new experimental iPad. If you want to know how I'm progressing this rig, again, go to my Patreon to find out.
I actually want to join his Patreon now. So I'm like, am I going to learn anything here? Like, I feel like it's like almost too complex. I feel like videos like these are really discouraging for beginners. They just see someone who's really good talking about stuff they don't understand. They don't know enough yet to know that it's actually not being explained well enough to help them. That's kind of true. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't think he's like trying to make beginners feel bad, you know? I think that's just like an unintended consequence. I think a way to explain this where it would be more helpful for beginners trying to get into this sort of setup is explain the progression of it, like how it started out, like what made you start this, and then explain like what it was like when you first started it, then maybe like 6 months later, etc. Like that way you can see the progression of building this. I think that would like be more useful than seeing all of it at once. Seeing all of this at once is just way too much, you know? That's kind of the issue with this video. Not that there's anything wrong with doing this video, but it's more so an issue with like how this video is consumed, you know? That's my take. Overall, cool idea though. I mean, I really wish I had this. I wish I knew how to use it.
Seconds left. I'm not talking about Augusta Sleep right now. That's a video for another day. 50 seconds left. This is a iPad using TouchOSC, which I'll do another video about another time, controlling Supermodal, which is another plugin that does this amazing bunch of effects.
Supermodal? I've never even heard of that one, dude. Oh, wait, maybe? No, I don't know. I never really even heard of that one. I feel like I'm finding out a bunch of stuff today.
Which I'm going to try and struggle to explain without saying it's like frequency manipulation stuff in the time domain. This is Tornado. This is Filter, which uses a kilohertz plugin. This is Valhalla instances. There's no time to explain what that means. There's a Euclidean sequencer. It's 19 seconds.
Euclidean sequencer.
Oh, God. I think I just need to wrap this up and say thank you for watching. If you want to know more, go to my Patreon. The link is below. I'll explain all of that.
I'm so tempted to go to his Patreon. I don't even want to set up like this because I don't want to beatbox, but I would like to be able to like have a live set that's this insane.
This mattered to you. Why are you even still here? But I love you and be kind to each other. And I'll see you later. Okay, goodbye. Yeah, great.
That was intense.
I don't know if anyone would want to watch that content. It's just too stressful.
That was stressful, dude. I feel like I need to relax now. Okay, I gotta check out these plugins. Tornado and Supermodal.
The Band Incorporated.